I believe that Terrarians often speedrun the game and never take their time on their worlds. I want to change that. So over the course of a year, I'll be playing on this one world, with each stage of progression being blocked until the start of a new month. I'm doing this so I can seriously take my time in each stage of Terraria Calamity mod's progression and see what it has to offer. So for the month of August, I am only allowed to defeat Duke Fishron, Plaguebringer Goliath, Empress of Light, and Ravager. Otherwise, I can make no other form of progression. This is what happened. I am very scared. See, after Calamity's update, vanilla bosses have become stupidly difficult. Other mods and Legendary Seed have made Duke Fishron and Fishron clones that are way tougher than they need to be, and so I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Maybe Calamity mod also made Duke Fishron a little too difficult than he really needed to be. I am excited to try and kill the thing in the ocean. That seems fun, and well, I was very naive in thinking that. We'll get to why soon, but first I want to farm for a sunstone to get the celestial shell, but because of the aforementioned difficulty spike, I'm stuck not being able to farm bosses for a very long time. At least not unless I want to burn through loads more potions and spend a whole lot more time fishing. I was hoping I had made enough upgrades and that my new summon build could take Golem down, and I nearly got through the second phase, but that's where it ended. I gave it a second try and failed again, but you know what? I don't need the Celestial Shell. I'll be fine without it. Just gotta do a preliminary battle to see what to expect. All right, let's just see what Duke is going to be like. This could be very bad. Or it could be just fine. Come at me, boy. Oh, he's fast. He's zoom. Oh, he's zoom. He very much zoom. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, 590 damage. Okay. 590 damage. I do believe that's a little bit of a world record. I do say so myself. All right, is he enraged? That's actually a good question. He might have been. We might be so high up that he's enraged. Oh wait, I can fish from here. What am I doing? What? All right, here we go. Oh, he did a little whirly whirl. All right. Okay, this is feeling a little more reasonable. 616 damage! He one-shot me! All right, abandoning shark. We're making an arena! And so I got to constructing an arena outside of my beautiful ocean. I hate having to do this, but I'm afraid this is what has to be done. It's plain impossible to dodge Fishron with the lava shark, and while I was building this, there was just a random thing that popped into my mind. I was recording a collaboration, and while we were waiting for the world to load, we were just having fun reading the suggestions, and one of the suggestions said that shooting a target with a gun at point-blank range does more damage. I have never heard this. I need to test this. Okay, merchant. There you are. Give me that sickle. I need more grass to chop. Hold on, does it work with vines? No. All right. We're just going to grab a single shot weapon, because then we have more consistency. We're going to set it down right here. Boom. All right. Wait, what? But it does extra damage to enemies at point blank. No! This vanilla thing said this. No. No! Wait, was Calamity just reference? No! I can't do the test! I mean, I can't test this though if Calamity just says that it does that. That's not how. No! Back to the arena. If it wasn't clear, a suggestion thing that appears when loading the world said that using a gun at point blank range does extra damage. Now that I think about it, I actually had Calamity enabled when that suggestion appeared, so maybe Calamity added these suggestions. I thought this was a vanilla feature at first and nobody knew about it. It was in one of the suggestions that probably nobody actually reads. Anyways, Martians! Hey, I'll take it. I have terrible luck with these guys, so I'm gonna take it while we got it. Come up here, you boogers. I swear the probes never spawn when I want them to spawn, so I'll gladly check them off the list. Plus, the one summon dropped by the saucer is apparently good against moving bosses like Fishron. Not sure they're as good as the modded butterfly summon I have, but might as well collect the thing, right? Oh, come on. Oh, we still killed it. Let's go. Always viewed the Martians as almost pointless just because I never get them, but their drops are actually great. In vanilla, at least, they are great, but Calamity weapons are usually going to be better, but now I got the relic and all the weapons. The Martians in Arena are done now, so I figured I'd return to the Fishron battle. All right, can I fish for Fishron here? It's gonna work, guys. I'm gonna wait. I'm waiting. I did actually stay there for a minute, but had no bite. All right, hold on. What how far in do I have to go to actually be in the ocean? There it is. All right. Any moment. It's too much. All right, gonna get Duke here. There he is. Run for it. Literally one shot. All right, we need to think of another plan here. We need another plan. I don't know what it was, but I was feeling really goofy. Anyways, new plan was to use teleporters to teleport from the ocean to the arena, but there was a new problem I hadn't anticipated. Wait, what? What is happening? Have I confused the fishing line? It's a bobber, it's bobbing. Yeah, that's what's going on here. Oh, it's working. Oh no, what just happened? But I guess it's working now. Oh, great. Is this thin layer of water enough to... All right, you gonna follow me out? Oh, looks like he is. Oh, he is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. While I worked on collecting more truffle worms, something that you need to know in case you can't tell by what you just saw. Duke was spawning in 3rd phase, and not only that, he's moving much faster than normal. So the typical strategy for dodging didn't seem to be working. Granted, I wasn't doing the best, but part of that was my shock and confusion by how quick the fish was moving. I also know that while fishing him up in the actual ocean, he was in 3rd phase as well, so he's clearly just going to do that no matter where I am, so no reason I shouldn't fight the boss outside of the ocean, as it would seem he's enraged anyways. So it doesn't matter that if we're in the ocean or not, Duke is going to be the same. So we might as well take him out to our arena. All right, that's good. That's good to confirm. There's still the issue with Duke one-shotting me. On top of that, I can't hardly deal any damage back to him. My summons can't hardly keep up and my whip does basically nothing. I even tried my slightly more bulky mage and was still killed in a single tap. I did, however, find that running on the Hex branch allowed me to dodge the boss more reliably. So I made a runway to use the mount on, and despite the fact that this boss is literally hitting me here, I was not taking damage, so I'll take it. This was consistent too. The Fishron wouldn't touch me while I was doing this, so I guess this will work fine. I even got on enough of a roll to do some real damage until... Duke? Why is he normal? What? Turns out Duke is doing his phases in reverse, starting with his final phase, then going to his first. Only now he's moving at 10 times the speed. He didn't quite one-shot me, but easily 2-tap me in this phase, and although that's great, I'm still not anywhere near where I need to be. Maybe potions will give me the edge I need, and now that I'm running Summoner for the first time in a while, I figured I should fish for variegated lardfish for some potions. Figured you could get those anywhere, but after not having any on the line for a few minutes, I looked up the wiki. Turns out they're only underground, and now the underground jungle has these Plaguebringer mini-bosses that won't stop spawning and harassing me while I'm trying to mind my own business and fish variegated lardfish to the point of extinction. Every fishing trip also means I get to add to the crate tower. Now you might have noticed how the health bar was different. I did this earlier in the year to learn that the Hive mine was enraged on the surface because the health bar gets a red outline when the boss is enraged. With this, I could figure out if Duke is in fact enraged, and it turns out that he is indeed. I don't think anything can be done about it though. Fishron still was doing these dashes and everything in the ocean, so he must be enraged in the ocean as well, right? After several more failures, I was encouraged to try and fight him in the ocean again to see if he actually was enraged, and as it would turn out, he isn't. I am very upset right now. I literally did this so many... Once more truffle worms were collected, I was curious as to whether I could summon the Duke fish in the sulfuric sea and use the arena I built for the Scourge over there. Turns out it worked just fine over there, and I was able to have a much more viable battle against the boss. Didn't get into the right rhythm, and so I died kind of quickly, but he is far slower. Okay, there we go. Everything suddenly becomes a lot more viable. Maybe. I sure hope so. After a few more failures, I found another point of frustration. Duke's exploding bubbles can no longer be popped, and they move faster than I can, forcing me to use the Hex Branch to run away. Either that or dodging back and forth, which can be hard to do with Sharknadoes being around. I hate this! This is too high adrenaline! Ah! My heart can't take this! Oh my goodness! Oh! Giant shark rods! Oh no! Why was there giant shark rods? No! No, 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 no! Oh! I do not like this fight, Sam I Am! Come on! Okay, that works. Oh, no! Sure, I died, but clearly Duke can be killed as I am currently set up. So I went into the next battle and was bringing him really low. Turns out he enters into a combination of second and third phase when around 30% of his health, at which point he does the third phase dashes while still shooting massive Sharknadoes with Megalodons flying at me. Worse yet, when down to around 5%, he no longer does the 1, 2, 3 dashing. He just dashes non-stop, which I was not ready for at all, and it threw me off so much that I died right before killing the thing. From there, it was a long line of failure after failure, with me going from doing pretty well to dying really early. And one time even bringing Fishron down to 1% of his health. Just needed another second or two, and I would have won. Honestly, this run has gotten quite frustrating in some ways. The update stepped up the difficulty massively, and this was not what I signed up for when starting this year-long run. There's a reason I don't do a lot of challenge runs and only do the more challenging difficulties in multiplayer, because I find fighting any boss for more than an hour to be kind of obnoxious and frustrating. I'm just not built like the other masochists out there, which is, well, kind of most of the Terraria YouTubers. It's all a bit much for me, and I've grown quite nervous that I won't be able to beat the endgame bosses at all come December, but I guess we'll worry about that when we get there. It's been interesting trying to figure out how to beat these things, but so far these updates haven't felt so much like a challenge and more like I'm being bullied by a screen full of projectiles or requiring me to run at top speed non-stop for the entire duration of the battle, and it's a bit draining and sometimes feels unfair. Anyways, I just wanted to mention that because if you want to do a run like this and don't like bashing your head against the wall fighting bosses, then don't choose master mode when making your world. At one point I ended up opening the arena and making the whole thing a little longer, which wasn't a bad idea on concept, but it turns out there were pockets of that side of the arena that weren't considered ocean, so Fishron would go in and out of enraged form, and that threw everything out of whack, so I had to reserve it only if I absolutely needed it. Other than that, it helped with a big tornado spawning outside instead of inside the primary arena. Many attempts later and a really well-timed adrenaline, and Duke Fishron was at long last defeated. It took 49 attempts to kill Duke, which isn't as bad as Skeletron Prime, but it's hard to do other things I want to do with these weeks in between killing bosses. I haven't hardly been able to spend much time building or farming for better gear because most of my time is spent trying to kill the bosses and then fishing to replace the potions I'd consumed in the process. Anyways, while fishing, I had a slip of tongue and said Lunar Tune instead of Stellar Tune. And wait, what if there was a Lunar Tune? Wait, real logic. I want a Lunar Tune drop from Moonlord. I really want this. Someone want to go to the forums and put this recommendation? I actually really like the idea of this. A Lunar Tune. It'd be so fun. When I was done fishing, it occurred to me that I didn't grab vampire knives from the Crimson Sky Island that generated with the world, so I figured I'd just grab those really quickly. But the chest was gone. I double checked my storage and the knives weren't there, and I know the chest is supposed to be up there, so where the heck did my vampire knives go? There's no way I trashed them. I would never trash vampire knives. I still haven't found them, but I moved on to getting a little building done. There aren't many pylons remaining that need their own builds, but one of them is the one in the modded Brimstone Crag. Going to use some of the modded blocks you find in the area to make a miniature temple looking thing. I also wanted it to look like it was floating here, but this is lava, and so I couldn't place blocks over the liquid. Ended up placing silt to keep the water level high on one side so I could place blocks on the other. remove the silt, and now it looks like it's just a little submerged. I'm modeling the build to look a little like these naturally generated structures, and I think I did a good job with the skeleton. I updated the interior to have 2 rooms and tried to give it a more cohesive look, and then added some levels and detailing with kind of random furniture and platforms. Living demon flame blocks were added to the top for some visual flair. I then spent forever trying to figure out how to decorate the interior because a single wall tile wasn't doing it for me. Ended up adding some stained glass with gray brick wall around the lanterns, which looks great, and then added some gemspark walls, which I think helps the build stick out more instead of being a single grayish reddish mass. And then I finished up my time for the week by fixing the arena at the Sulfuric Sea. And before we continue, if you've been enjoying the video, consider subscribing. At the end of the year, I'll be firing 1 mini nuke 2 from this rocket launcher for every subscriber that I have. So if you've been enjoying the video and want to support long-form content like this, consider subscribing. This week, I'm feeling good. Calamity's update thus far seems to have made the vanilla bosses unnecessarily difficult, while having little to no impact on the Calamity ones. Maybe it was meant to make them about even, but thus far the vanilla bosses have become a menace, while the Calamity original bosses are not that much of an issue. This week I intended on killing the Plaguebringer Goliath, but like every boss I decided to summon the thing without prep to see what I might be in for. And considering how I brought the Goliath down 30% of its health without an arena or any prep, it has me confident. I might finally have time to do something other than fight bosses and fish for potions this week. What did I do at that time? I mined a massive hole in the jungle. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing this silly little thing. Well, there's this massive unexplored area in the jungle just beneath the surface, and I like to leave the surface as natural as possible. This arena I had planned was going to be massive, and I mean massive, so I didn't want to destroy the entire jungle surface. So to preserve the Amazon rainforest while also making a suitable jungle arena, I mined a massive hole underground for hours. Sometimes Plantera bulbs were in the way and I'd end up spawning the sentient cabbage. Couldn't really beat her casually, but could come close. Imagine dying. Hey! She's buffed like crazy, and that's a very, very bad arena for her. Alright, and I had to be super close. How big was the hole I dug? This big, and of course it needs to look good, so I started placing gray brick around it and then mudstone brick painted gray. You can also see I added these emerald gemspark walls for light, and there are 2 layers of spooky platforms painted gray. Not a super special build, but it's better than just an empty hole. Now you may be wondering if this whole several hour long project was worthwhile, and to that I can honestly say, I have no idea. I'm sure it'll be great against the Goliath, but other than him, I'm not sure what other bosses I'll fight down here. Maybe the Jungle Dragon Yeren, Dragon Folly, or maybe Profane Goddess? I don't know, it's so big I feel like I need to use it. The Sky Island Arena might not even be relevant anymore. This one definitely benefits from having much larger gaps between platforms, which is a lot more helpful later in the game when you can, fly around like a madman. I should really focus more time on the small builds that look nice rather than these massive soulless arenas. What is this, Costco? But I mean, the bosses are requiring the space, so I guess this could carry me for the rest of the run. That'd be quite ideal. Mining the massive hole did have some unforeseen side effects. I made it so the arena was no longer considered jungle on accident. Plaguebringer becomes enraged when outside the jungle, so this was not ideal. I tried making these neat little jungle stands, which could be an issue during boss battles because it's, solid blocks that I could run into, but they look nice. Didn't work though, so I used another method for junglifying the arena once more. To do this, I mined a hunk of the jungle temple, built these cubes of lizard block until the jungle background appeared, and then actuated them. Someone reminded me of this during stream, but I remember learning from the 100 Hours of Hardcore challenge that the jungle temple blocks can create the jungle biome, which I think is weird, but super helpful in this case. The arena is ready now, just need to fight the thing, and I'm considering switching back to Rogue. Haven't used it in a while, so I needed to upgrade many of the accessories. For the first time, I focused purely on accessories that buff damage and stealth. I don't know all the best options out there, but I found what I think are some pretty good ones and reforged them. I also chose the Dust Storm in a bottle, and someone in chat said it worked very well against the Plaguebringer for themselves. I also decided I'd actually wait for the stealth bar to charge, as people keep commenting that rogue weapons are far superior when you let it charge, so I gave it a go, and I just gotta say, It was the most boring thing ever, waiting for the stealth bar to charge only to miss a few of the attacks and notice no damage increase whatsoever. In fact, I was basically dealing 0 damage. Maybe the build just isn't set up correctly, but I quickly switched over to summon that dealt massively more damage, but the switch was a little sloppy. From here, things went pretty smoothly. Plaguebringer felt like a pretty fair boss, all things considered. Every here and there, I'd be hit by an explosion that was hard to see, or else I wasn't sure where it came from, and the body had a strange hitbox, where I was sometimes hit when noticeably not nearby, and other times I wouldn't get hit when directly in the middle of the boss's body. Other than that, the hardest part of the boss was his diagonal and horizontal dashes. It took a little while to figure out which one he was going to do, but eventually I got the hang of it. After a few close calls, I clinched it. I did end up using potions, but I suspect all bosses will require potions at this point in progression. It's not like it's a bad thing to use potions anyways. Why do I feel like I'm conceding something? Anyways, I'm just glad the attempts didn't even climb up into the double digits. With the remaining time, I wanted to make the offshoot to the relic room for the event relics. Mined out this odd shape, placed the blocks to continue the styling of the original room with a few alterations, and then instead of using blue gem spark, I placed a themed wall type behind the center relic. It all came together quite nicely, I think, and I finished off the week with a little more fishing for Prismite. This week, I desperately want to get some building done, especially down in the cave village that I haven't been able to work on for a little while now. Desperately want to upgrade this, but Empress of Light is going to be the day's boss, and we're going to see how that plays out. As I've already said plenty of times, because of the Calamities update, vanilla bosses in particular have become very difficult, and so whenever I'm about to fight one, I am sweating bullets. So let's go straight into a few test battles against the Empress and see how things go. Oh, and if you're wondering where the lace wings came from, you can buy them from the Trunk Princess, and considering how awful my lace wing luck is, this is a godsend. All right, let's see if this thing is a absolute monstrosity. Whoa, that wasn't, wait, am I just crazy? Oh, whoa. Wait. Am I crazy? Oh, no, that was different, right? That wasn't normal. Okay. She shoots. Right? Okay. Oh, that's not normal. 300! Oh my goodness. Okay. So she's, no, and she shoots those. Oh. Okay, so she is different. She's a bit different. I'm not a very big fan after having become quite familiar. That is so rude. Oh, what do you do about that? The first and most immediate hurdle is how she shoots a bunch of homing sparklies every time she dashes, and these sparklies are much worse than the normal attack where she uses them, because these ones have better homing, or else the way that they spread out makes it feel as though the homing is a whole lot more accurate. I gave it a few more attempts, but was getting nowhere fast, not having any clue as to how I was supposed to dodge these sparklies after every dash, though perhaps the reason for this is that I kept forgetting that the dash even, well, you spawn these things in the first place, and so I wouldn't, try to dodge. It was probably just my fault. Anyways, after fighting this boss so many times last year, I've grown accustomed to her vanilla moveset, so now I need to re-teach my brain as to how to respond to her patterns. I double-checked things that I could craft, wondering if I could maybe become more powerful, but wasn't really seeing anything. I also totally forgot I had the Cosmolites and was sleeping to skip past the day to get to the next night where I would practice against Empress without any luck. Oh, wait, whoa, why is it daylight? Oh, wait, it is day, isn't it? Oh, that was a mistake. I made a mistake. Whoops! After several more failures, someone from chat recommended a different armor set that can be crafted with some of the plague stuff related to Plaguebringer. Can't remember if I actually needed to kill the boss for the armor set, but I figured I'd equip the new plague armor in the hopes it would help. Not sure it actually does though, as it has less defense and less summon damage than the previous armor set, with its only real benefit being that my attacks inflict the plague debuff or something, and apparently that's a really strong debuff. I'm not sure how much of a part this new armor played, or if I was just becoming better at seeing and reacting to her attacks, but I made it to second phase for the first time. Oh, second phase. Oh, I guess they must have added, oh, what the, okay. No, she's still doing this. No, not that again. Another suggestion was to use this one summon that I wrote off as useless because by the looks of the summon, it's just a bunch of spheres floating in a circle around me. I was also informed that the summon class apparently can't deal crits. I had no idea this was a thing. Since when was this a thing? I always assumed that summoner could do crits, like everything else. That said, I reforged everything to menacing or warding, and during the next battle, I learned that the sphere summons actually shoot homing projectiles, making them a pretty good summon from what I can tell. Why do they have these balls circling me if they are just going to shoot? Why? I grew tired of dying though, and had managed to get further in the battle, but the small arena was a persistent issue. I fought her here because it's in the hollow and she's easiest to summon here, but I did mind that massive arena in the jungle, which would be much better suited for the battle, I think. I didn't try it earlier because I didn't think I could actually summon her here before the Lacewings despawn, but then I thought I could get around this by placing a Nimbus Cloud to kill the Lacewing immediately. All right, that is fast enough. All right, let's go. We can do this. Have I summoned my summons? No, I have not. I should do that. She is not dashed at all so far. This is, oh, there it is. I shouldn't have said it. That was my problem. I should not have said that. Oh, right, there's a wall. All right, oh, we need to start moving this. Oh, wait, da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, darn. Oh, no, calm down. Don't panic. Don't panic, the Throarbin. Oh, boy. Oh, that's not how to dodge that attack. Oh, yeah. I like it when she does the more boxy ones better. While the Blood Moon was going on, I figured I'd farm enemies for Blood Orbs. Having 10 of these allows me to make any potion I wish. For the most part, I think some might cost 20. They're the sort of thing that you preserve so you don't waste them, and then you don't end up using them, so I wanted to farm a bunch of them so I'd feel better about actually using them, you know? But what I was talking about at the end of the last battle. When second phase begins, she uses one of the two attacks, and one of them is a million times easier to dodge than the other. This one is the hard one to dodge because there is very little time between the telegraph and the attack itself covers a lot of space. That on top of how she shoots at you several times with this made it nearly impossible for me to dodge all of the light blades. On the flip side, she might do this, and it is so incredibly easy to dodge so long as I don't panic. But now that I'm able to get to second phase more often, I've run into another issue with the circle attack. Oh, when did that get there? I was still trying to find ways to optimize, and there's an accessory dropped by the Leviathan called the Community that's pretty good. I forget exactly what it does, but I know it's good. Only issue is how hard it is to actually farm bosses with this difficulty spike. I'd hoped I'd progressed enough at this point, but I was way out of rhythm against the boss and could not do anything. So I went back to practicing against the Empress and came really close during one of the battles and pretty well in the two after. At this point, then, I believe I'm good enough at the battles to start using potions. One reason I don't use potions early on is to help preserve what I have, you know, familiarizing myself with the boss and then drinking potions once I'm confident they could push me over the edge enough to win. I don't like this. I don't like this. But we're doing it. Okay, please don't have a third phase. Oh, wait, hold on. She's just attacking a lot more. What the heck? All right, get out of there. Okay. Oh boy. Come on. Please perish. There we go. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Being the potion optimizer that I am, I went straight into another battle and must have unlocked Ultra Instinct or something because I was dodging like crazy. I have unlocked a part of myself that has not been unlocked before. No hitting Throarbin wasn't this good. Ah! Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Oh, where did that come from? Oh no. Oh, come on. Oh man. I had it all at once. Oh. She dropped the Night Glow and Terra Prisma because in Calamity you don't have to fight her during daytime to get the summon weapon, which is handy. Wanted to kill her again for the Kaleidoscope Whip, but, you know, I was happy to not focus on farming her, so I could finally focus on building for the first time in quite a while. Dropping down into the underground village, I wanted to build the second layer to it, but I also wanted to nail down a design for the houses. Interiors are my greatest weakness when it comes to building, but I knew I wanted something and kept going through iterations, finding nothing that I thought looked good. None of the walls I used melded well with each other. They all felt like random walls slapped into different places rather than being a cohesive structure. Eventually, I landed on something that was leading somewhere. I used mahogany beams and placed gray brick in between them with a lower layer of gray brick on the other side of the beams. I also placed Destiny Wood platforms on the ceiling. It was going somewhere, but needed a little more color or something to make it pop. ended up settling on placing offline Gemspark walls on the top where the platforms are and using blue Dynasty wood wall on the inside of the beams, which is finally, at long last, an interior I really like for these houses. And I also used this exact pattern with small iterations for all of the different houses. The iterations only being used to compensate for the different shapes of the houses. I also used the ruby offline Gemspark for the houses with red shingles and blue offline Gemspark for the blue shingled homes. The big houses ended up looking a little weird with this style, but also good. I'm pretty happy with it all, everything considered. Somehow that relatively small adjustment actually satisfied my building urge, and I returned to trying to farm the Empress to no avail. Was trying not to use potions and came so very close a couple of times. I did end up running into solid blocks every once in a while because there are a few that I left in the arena without really noticing. So at the very least, I found these and fixed them. And the rest of the week, nothing notable happened. I kept farming blood orbs, fish for even koi, always feeling as though I'd fished up twice as many as I actually had. Fought Leviathan over and over again, all the while being entirely incapable of beating him, to my great shame and embarrassment. But to be fair, this massive ocean actually makes the boss harder than he should be. And turns out the pair of them are enraged when I go high enough in the ocean. So, well, I guess that's my fault. But I'm not removing this ocean. It's too cool, all right? Despite not being strong enough to farm Leviathan without potions, I figured I'd give Boss Rush another go at the end of the week to see if I could get much farther in it. I'm definitely able to kill the bosses faster, but still not enough to get past Desert Scourge. This week, I have two plans. I want to add an elevator and start the second layer to the cave build, and I want to kill Ravager. And of course, with the way that bosses are, we went straight into Ravager to see what to expect. Alright, let's see how this goes. I think I'm going to first try Ravager. Easy boss. I fought him in with a higher difficulty recently. That might actually be true. That this won't be very hard. But I could also be totally wrong about that. Never mind, he's halfway dead. And I have not been hit yet. All right, we're doing great. We're doing wonderful. Oh wait, what if he has second health bar? What if he's one of those bosses? He very well could be. I thought Ravager was like one of the harder bosses at one point. Like people just kind of hated him. I remember in Get Fixed Boy, he was an absolute pain, and apparently was basically just Sans Undertale, something like that. Why am I not taking damage? Do I have God mode enabled? I don't have God mode. I have 0 cheats. So, wait, why am I not taking damage? Does he not do contact damage? Am I going crazy? What is happening? Am I about to no-hit I just no-hit Ravager. What? I was in such disbelief. I even checked to make sure all the correct mods were enabled, and I didn't accidentally leave some God mode enabling mod on without realizing it, but no. Turns out he only does damage when stomping downwards during that last part, so I just first try no-hit Ravager somehow. I gotta fight him again. This doesn't, what is going on? So I fought him again and crushed him once again. Well, that was incredibly easy. Didn't expect to be done with him so soon, but I guess that gives me all kinds of time to work on things that aren't boss fighting, but instead of getting to building, I figured I'd spend a little time trying to farm Empress. But the thing is, she keeps using this one attack, and it ends just about every single run without fail. I genuinely don't know how you're supposed to dodge this without getting lucky. Someone in chat said it just looks like a vanilla attack, and yes, it's similar to it, but I can dodge that one without issue, while this one I've dodged perfectly a singular time. That's enough of bosses though. Maybe I'll come back to her later. I actually want to get some building done while I got the chance, and the first thing I want to do is install the elevator. Little did I know what nightmare this would turn into. First, I sought out the plot of land it would take up. Wrought iron fence was placed with the intention of using it as a background, but later I ended up removing most of it because I'm using actuated blocks that will cover up the fence anyways. I end up only using a little bit of the stuff for some extra pizzazz to the build. I placed glass on the sides of the elevator shaft and then used stone slab for the elevator blocks initially, but then used gray painted boreal wood instead. Looks a little more elevator-y if you ask me. Now I already explained how to make this elevator in the last week of the May installment of the series, and then also made a short with just that section, so if you want to know how I'm making the basic elevator function, then you can look at that. But I wanted to add one more feature to this thing that ended up opening a whole can of worms. It also took me a bit longer to build this than anticipated because I forgot how I did it, and I was trying to not have blocks on either side of the elevator, but ended up needing a bunch of them there, and so I had to build and tear down the whole thing several times. So this week will end up being a bit shorter because a lot of time was spent rebuilding the same thing and trying to figure out this next part. See, there's one major flaw with the elevator. In order to turn it off, you need to have very good timing and press one of the timers at a very precise moment. And if you are off, then you end up messing up the whole system, and the only way to fix it is to mine every single timer and place them back. What I want is either a universal off button or a system that will turn it off automatically. The first idea was to use a logic sensor. This sensor activates whenever somebody steps within this little green box. This way, I can set the elevator up so when I walk into it, it'll turn on, and in theory, turn back off when I leave the green box. Well, that's not the case. The issue with logic sensors is that they activate when you enter and leave the sensor's range. This brings up a very serious request I have of Relogic. Can we pretty please have a sensor that only activates when you walk into it and not when you leave? I feel like this is a massive missing feature. The way logic sensors work right now has its use cases, but adding one that won't reactivate the attached wiring when you leave the sensor's range would be a game changer. And for those who might have missed May's video or didn't watch to the end, yes, I am fully aware that there are more efficient ways and better ways of making something that accomplish the same purpose as this elevator I'm making right now. But I'm doing this because, for one, I want a physical elevator, darn it. Secondly, this is my way of playing and experimenting with wire in ways I would never have, which is point of the reason for the whole year-long series, to stretch the game to its limits and do things that we don't normally do. Speaking of which, I had totally forgotten about some wiring features sold by the mechanic and had no idea the steampunker sold a bunch of logic gates. I can't fully explain what they do as I'm not fully sure myself. If you read the lips for the logic gates, it'll probably make sense, but basically there's different sensors that will activate when a certain number of lamps are active above them. You can activate the lamps and the logic gates separately. It's really cool, and I'm sure that it opens all kinds of possibilities. I was also really hoping that using these things would allow me to create a kill switch for the whole system, and I'm going to spare you the hour of troubleshooting I did that ended up not finding a solution. The issue is that the first timer, the one that starts the elevator, activates 2 times. If it activated an odd number of times, then I could create a system for it to turn on and off until it turns the original timer off, but because it activates an even number of times, I couldn't create a proper system for turning it off. What I need is to tell one of the sensors to only activate when the first timer is the only timer on, and now that I think about it, the sensor also needs to differentiate between the first timer when it turns on the first time and when the second timer turns on. It needs to be on the first time to get the system going, but needs to turn off the next time it's the only timer active. I hope that explained things well. Maybe I just made it more confusing, I don't know, but chat threw out terms like shift register and memory gates at me, but I have no idea what those mean. Maybe some of you are wiring savvy. If you got any ideas, let me know. If I could get this elevator working, I genuinely think it'll open up so many other doors for wiring in Terraria, at least for me. I finished up the week hoping I could finally kill Empress for the second time. I was a bit frustrated, losing a lot, but at last it happened. Oh, she's finally dead. Okay, finish off the day with a victory. If I don't get a kaleidoscope. Here, let's get rid of these. Kaleidoscope! Alright, nope. I have potions active right now. I can't! Oh boy. Oh, that was a chair. I'm already doing so bad. Oh, this is great. I could have ended this on a high note. I could have been like, yay, we won. All right, that's a great way to end it. But no. I need to potion optimize. I couldn't help myself, and now I am in this position. This is wonderful. This is great. Ended up losing the battle. And yes, I got the stellar tune, but I wanted a kaleidoscope, so yeah. I feel like I wasn't productive this week at all, and I feel like this elevator is hurting my brain. I have some new ideas as to how to fix it, and I just want to look at it. All right, I just want to look at it. You know, see if I think of something. No, I told myself I wasn't going to work more on this because my brain is fried, and I don't know what I'm doing. But I started testing things once again, and just feel as though I'm on the precipice of some major discovery. Okay. No! It's really hard for me going back and describing what I'm doing because I frankly don't remember. There were so many troubleshooting steps I took trying to figure out this elevator that I couldn't hope to remember what my every revision was, my every hypothesis, or even what order I'd tried things. I made the wise decision of stepping away after making no progress after some 15 minutes. Rather than continue struggling with this, it'd be smarter to build the second floor to this cave village and hope that some wiring wizard watches this video and gives me some pointers. But this second floor, all I ended up doing was adding a little bit of a design around all the wiring at the top of the elevator, and then this one tree that will be the skeleton for how the rest of the build will branch out onto the second floor while maintaining a sense of cohesion. But then I remembered something. I wanted to do something with the area beneath the village, and I think it makes sense to finish the lower sections before building upwards. So I filled all the mini caves with water. I debated with myself for a while as to what I wanted this lower section to look like. Part of me wanted to make them look like the ocean, and that would be cool, but also a little too different from the original, I think. I ended up continuing to lean into the current design and extended the trees I'd built to make it look as though the roots stuck out on the top of the watering holes on the ceilings. I still added living mahogany leaf around the roots, which I guess doesn't really make sense, but I just liked the splash of green, so I added them. Vines painted lime were added, with a few having yellow gem sparks at the end of them. A solid start, but the bottom sections needed design as well, and that was where the bigger debate was had as to whether this should be more ocean-like, jungle-like, or even maybe abyssal. What I settled on was a combination of jungle and ocean. First, the entire bottom layer was covered in mud, and by bottom layer I mean whatever the water touched. Smoke machines were added to create a mist over the surface. Look at it. Oh, it's so foggy over there and mysterious. Ooh. Back on the bottom of the water features, I added several patches of sand to give it a little more of an ocean vibe, and leaned even harder into that by placing coral and shells over the sand exclusively. I planted jungle grass on the remaining mud patches, but don't have a whole lot of jungle grass seeds. The Dryad doesn't sell them, unfortunately, and it's not exactly easily farmed. It's a little sad, especially since I know for a fact that I've thrown away a lot of jungle grass thinking it wouldn't be helpful, but now it is. That's just how things go. Now, this looks good, but there's still an issue with the water being too dark. I want it to have a more clean and vibrant vibe to it. I considered adding prism shards that grow in the sunken sea as a light source, but didn't think it'd fit the aesthetic. So while I considered what light source to use, I started transferring the style to the other watering holes. But I made the mistake of walking past the elevator and was sucked back into toying with the thing. With the test system, I created a degree of separation from the first timer and the second one. The main issue is how the first timer is activated twice, so finding a way to make it only turn on once could resolve my every issue. The system made it so the first timer turned on this logic gate that turned on the second timer, but this doesn't solve the issue, it just moved the issue down a single timer. I hopped back over to building, using sapphire gem sparks to create a neat blue glow at the bottom of the pools of water. They were painted with echo paint to prevent them from looking odd, and I think the deep blue works quite well with the green and yellows. Other than the watering hole where the wiring is, I filled them all in and worked on filling the watering holes on the left side. Nothing really happened other than repeating the design, unless you count the fact that these things called armored diggers wouldn't stop spawning on my face. They aren't weak, but they aren't super strong at this point in progression. They just became a bit annoying, constantly spawning due to the immense amount of time I was spending underground. I was nearing completion on the lower section and still had time to work on the second layer, but once again I got caught up in the elevator. I can't for the life of me figure out how to get the timers to start on the first one, go to the end, and stop, and then also be able to go back in the opposite direction, stopping in the same manner. I just can't think of how this could be possible, but I want to find a way. With this current design, I have created a one-direction elevator, which is something, I guess. I could make two one-direction elevators rather than continuing to figure out the wiring for having it work both ways, so I installed the new system and it worked pretty well. There were a few kinks with some of the blocks not activating the way they theoretically should, so I tried to fix some of those minor bugs. I think I fixed some, but not quite all of it. It's basically perfect other than the fact that you have to jump at the start or else you don't ride upwards. I thought it might be more fun and even more convenient to make the elevator so that it starts off all actuated rather than solid. That way I could still use the thing, there's open space, and I can walk through it without needing to turn the thing on. This worked just about perfectly, but the first step was a little janky and I wanted it to be perfect. So I got to tinkering, and this was the worst mistake I could have made. For some odd reason, this started happening. And so I got lost in over a half hour trying to figure out how what I did caused the whole system to break. Sometimes I came close to fixing it, sometimes I made it worse. In the end, I was never able to really get the thing back to what it was, and I have no idea why. I swear too that there were times I literally made no changes and different things would happen. It was all one big mess, and maybe I'll need to tear the whole thing down and start from scratch, making sure to make my wiring job a bit cleaner and easier to follow so troubleshooting is less, well, troublesome. Still need to know how to send the elevator one way, have it stop, and then send it back. Please, if you know how, let me know. At the very least, the week was not a total waste as I was able to complete the lower section of the cave village. Is that how I've been wanting to add the second layer and have intended on adding it several times over the past weeks and even months really, and yet have hardly even started on it. But hey, the cave village is turning into a year-long project and I love it and am not going to rush the thing to completion. This build is going to be my magnum opus.